When you imagine a lake, the first thing that probably comes to mind is a calm pool of water where you can swim, sail, or just sit and enjoy the serene beauty. Well, I don't think you're going to want to go anywhere near the lakes I'm going to tell you about, let alone take a dip in their dangerous waters. Number 1. Lake Karachay, Russia. Dubbed the most polluted place on Earth, Lake Karachay is no body of water you want to be anywhere near, and that's because it was chosen as a dumping site for radioactive waste back in the 1950s. After accumulating this toxic stuff for over 60 years, Karachay became a literal nuclear weapon in and of itself. Even standing near its waters for just a minute without protection can cause severe health issues, and spending over an hour there will be 100% lethal. The good thing is that no one is really allowed to visit this place without special permission. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to go there even if I could. Number 2. Lake Rakshastal, Tibet. You can't talk about Tibet's Lake Rakshastal without mentioning its neighbor to the east, Lake Manassovar, and that's because Tibetans see the pair as embodiments of darkness and light. You'll understand why once you actually compare the two. Manassovar is a freshwater lake with plenty of fish, and locals praise it as a gift from the gods. Rakshastal, however, is so salty that literally nothing can survive in its waters, and those who live in nearby villages consider it poisonous. The lake itself isn't really that dangerous, unless you're afraid of pure salt, because you can at least tread in the water. It's just that nothing can live in it. So, would you dare to take a swim? Number 3. Boiling Lake, Dominica. Well, the name says it all for this one. Located in Dominica's Morne Pitons National Park, this lake can reach temperatures of 197 degrees Fahrenheit along its edges. The center, however, must get a lot hotter, since it literally starts to bubble and boil. It doesn't boil all the time, though. Sometimes it's just your typical volcanic lake with an awesome view over it, and people do sneak in and swim there. I say sneak because swimming in the lake is strictly prohibited, given that the constant threat of totally unpredictable spurts of scalding hot water means your life is always in danger as long as you're inside the lake. Number 4. Lake Natron, Tanzania. If there's a really notorious lake on our planet, it's definitely Lake Natron. I mean, with just one look at its reddish tint, you pretty much know that something's off with this body of water. First of all, the water can get as hot as 120 degrees Fahrenheit. The red stuff is salt, so it's certainly not a freshwater lake, and its pH level is about 10.5. This makes it so alkaline that very few creatures can live in it. In fact, if you happen to touch the water, you can even get a severe chemical burn. What makes the picture even more eerie are the statue-like remains of birds and animals who were unfortunate enough to go near Lake Natron. Besides all that, this lake is actually pretty cool. Well, you know what I mean. Number 5. Horseshoe Lake, California, USA. There are lakes surrounded by lush forests and green pastures. And then there's Horseshoe Lake that only has dead trees for hundreds of feet around. This lake is among the deadliest in the world because of its CO2 emissions. It's so hazardous that there are dozens of warning signs posted miles before you actually drive into its vicinity. And if you're careless enough to do so, you risk suffocating from a lack of oxygen. Yeah, probably time to turn around then, don't you think? Number 6. Lake Nyos, Cameroon. Lake Nyos is one of the 3 explosive lakes we know about. The other 2 are Lake Morne, which is also in Cameroon, and Lake Kivu in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Wait, back up. Did you catch that? Yeah, this lake explodes. Well, not like a bomb or something. You won't see a fire blast on its surface. But its CO2 deposits at the bottom are quite dangerous, and even the smallest earthquake can trigger their release. This already occurred in 1986, resulting in a massive tragedy for nearby villages. A cloud of CO2 can rise up from the lake in a burst and spread far ashore. Fortunately, in the early 2000s, the government of Cameroon installed a system that keeps the CO2 at bay. On the other hand, the lake's natural walls are starting to weaken, so the danger is still very much real. Very scary indeed. Number 7. Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri, USA. A popular tourist destination located in central Missouri actually holds a dark secret. It's downright poisonous. Despite the fact that it's frequented by tourists from all over the US and even the world, the concentration of E. coli bacteria in its water is so high that you can get sick just by swimming in it. A lot of its beaches have been closed because of the bacterial infection threat, and the state of Missouri is constantly monitoring the situation. The source of the pollution is the sewage systems that flow directly into the lake, contaminating it beyond any measure. And the danger is real. E. coli can be deadly when it enters the human body. So, consider yourself warned if you're planning a lakeside vacation here. Number 8. Lake Michigan, US. Now, who would have thought that one of the 5 Great Lakes of North America would make it on this list? Yet, here it is, in all its grandeur. Despite its popularity and millions of postcards printed with its image, Lake Michigan isn't as safe as you think. Its underwater currents can be so rapid that if you swim in it, you won't even have time to react when something grabs you and pulls you into the watery depths. I know, creepy stuff. And although the weather conditions are pretty cool around there, the lake itself isn't too kind to people swimming or sailing in it. Lake Michigan is especially dangerous in October and November, so make sure you don't plan a trip on the lake during these months. Number 9. Lake Kivu, the Democratic Republic of Congo. Wow, déjà vu, huh? I know I already mentioned this lake earlier, but I think it deserves more than just a few words. Just like Lake Nyos, Kivu is an exploding lake and one of the Great Lakes of Africa. What makes it different from Nyos and Morne is that it holds not only CO2 at its bottom, but also nearly 2 trillion cubic feet of methane, an extremely explosive gas. And now, imagine an earthquake happening somewhere nearby. All this methane will be let out, creating a huge burst that could kill everything in its path. What's more, if this toxic cloud meets some source of fire on its way, it'll create a massive explosion. Sounds like a ready-made script for a disaster movie like The Day After Tomorrow to me. Number 10. Lake Champlain, Vermont, USA. There's nothing toxic, explosive, or extremely hot about the waters of Lake Champlain. No, it's the lake's inhabitants that make this body of water dangerous. You see, Champlain is home to hundreds, if not thousands, of lampreys. Lampreys are blood-sucking parasites that latch onto their prey to feed. And yes, they have been known to hook onto humans. If you ever see a lamprey, trust me, you wouldn't want one sucking on your arm or leg. I mean, if mosquito bites are a nuisance, imagine what a bite this snake-like thing can have. Now, that's what nightmares are made of. Number 11. Lake Victoria, Africa. This lake seems so peaceful at first glance. How on earth could it pose any real threat? Well, it's been called the most dangerous lake in the world, and for good reason. That's because weather conditions over it change so rapidly and without any warning that even experienced sailors have no idea when to expect danger. The lake is navigable, of course, but every trip on it is a risk. You never know when a current will form or a strong wind will show up and overturn your boat. Definitely not the best place to take a swim or a nice sail. Well, that just goofed up my vacation plans. So, Brightsiders, do you know any other dangerous bodies of water that people should stay away from? Let everybody know in the comments below. If you learned something new, interesting, or helpful in this video, Then give it a like, share it with your friends, and click subscribe to always stay on the bright side of life.